everyone. Welcome to Lives Worth Telling. I'm your host, Jodes, and my podcast is about digging deep into people's stories and providing them with a platform to share their life and their experiences with my listeners. One of the key reasons in creating this podcast is so their families and friends can have a record of their life, their stories, and their voice forever. One of my favourite things is hearing about people's stories, their triumphs, their hardships, but most of all, I love hearing about their resilience. I really hope you enjoy listening to my guests share their lives with you. I want you to have a few laughs and allow yourself to be immersed in their stories. Well, welcome to episode 6 of Lives Worth Telling, and welcome to our new listeners in Belgium and also across America in Ohio, Tennessee, and Montana. In today's episode, we recorded on location for the first time. Today we meet Anita and chat to her about her life growing up in Yorkshire in the UK. We explore her love of travel and what brought her to Melbourne. Her choice in career shows how much she is invested in improving other people's lives. Enjoy. Okay, so today is our first on-location interview, and we are in Warburton and it's really, really cold, and I'm sitting here with Anita. Welcome, Anita.
Thank you, Jodie.
Oh my goodness. I know you through a friend of ours, and you know each other through your previous work, but we're going to go back a few steps, and I want you to tell me about your family and your parents and siblings and where you're from.
So originally, first 19 years of my life, I lived in a little tiny village called Burrell.
Okay.
Middle of the Yorkshire Dales.
Oh, nice.
And so born in an old style maternity unit, not far from where I lived for the first 19 years.
So the Yorkshire Dales, explain where that is. So
that's in North Yorkshire.
Yes.
So the largest county in the UK. And so middle James Herriot country, basically.
So did your folks were born there? Were they born and bred there?
So my mum, she was born 4 miles away. And so my nan and granddad were farmers. And she was born at home, 4 miles away. And my dad, he came from a place called Great Ayton, which is a bit further north, sort of more towards sort of Cleveland, sort of Newcastle, that sort of direction. Okay. So
quite rural.
Quite rural. Yeah. So place called Great Ayton he grew up in, but then his mum was born, she lived in Gisborne. Okay. Which was a bit further north. Don't know the full details of how they met. Never gone there.
Yes.
Because that might come out a little bit later, story. So I think they met at work.
Okay.
So mum is the youngest of 3.
Okay.
Dad was one of 2. Dad's stepbrother.
Okay.
He is 10 years younger than my dad.
All
so,
right.
Again, don't ask questions.
Yes.
But I don't think my granddad, so dad's stepdad, because my dad didn't know his dad.
Okay.
So back in the day, back in the 40s.
Yes.
Yeah, left his mum high and dry.
Oh my goodness.
And then, so my nan, she remarried, I think, when my dad was 5. And then they adopted my uncle.
Oh, right.
But again, I've never asked the questions. So, don't know the full ins and outs of that. Whether my granddad couldn't have kids or whether my nan couldn't have any more kids, I don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
So you grew up in the Yorkshire Dales.
Yep.
In Yorkshire, and then what made you moved? What year did you move to Australia?
So I moved to Australia in 2002.
Okay.
I had to think back then.
So how old were you when you came here?
So I would have been 28.
Okay.
So I left Yorkshire to go and do my nurse training.
Okay.
That's when I was 19. And that's when I met my husband.
So where did you do your nursing training then?
I did my nurse training in Portsmouth.
Okay.
So on the south coast.
Yep.
So, yeah, applied because back in the day there was the old what we called clearinghouse. So you'd have to put in a bit like your school preferences. So you'd send away your application, your CV back then, which was very simple.
Yes.
And you had to put your top 3 choices of where you wanted to go and do your nursing, and then a second 3.
Okay.
And they looked at your application and sent you an interview if you want. And back in those days, it was a whole day affair.
Oh, gosh.
You'd go, you'd meet up, they'd do a little presentation, then you'd go and have a look around the hospital, and then they'd do a little bit of group work, and then they'd do an individual interview.
Gee, quite a process to go through.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I remember being a young, naive 19-year-old, not really knowing.
And living away from home.
And because I've always had a bit of a travel bug.
Okay.
I wanted to be quite independent. I went away with a friend into Europe.
Okay.
Sort of travelling on our own and that sort of thing. So I've always sort of been a bit of a free spirit.
Yeah.
And
so being away from home didn't really bother you?
Didn't really bother me. And there was stuff going on at home and it was like, well, yeah, I've now got my life.
Yes.
That's their life.
Yeah.
And, I've got to move forward. And I'd always sort of I'd lived with my grandparents.
Okay.
From the age of 11, 12, up until I left, really, to go to uni.
As in living at your grandparents' house?
Yeah.
So you'd moved out of home?
And out of home during the week.
Oh, wow.
So, and it was through ease of travel, transport to school.
Okay.
Because we didn't have a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
And you had to pay for the bus. And it was like, nah, don't really want to. Well, Mum and Dad couldn't afford it.
Yes.
And both my mum and dad worked. And they were out quite early. My dad was a postman. My mum worked in an aged care facility. So they were both out. Dad was out at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And then Mum was out at 7:30. She was at work at 8. And so a bit of the old latchkey kids.
Yes. Latchkey, yes.
So
did you say your grandparents during the week?
And then came home at the weekend.
And what's the distance would have been between the
4
two?
miles.
Oh,
so it's not
that far.
Not that far.
Yeah.
Because my granddad, they were both retired.
Okay.
And so he used to take me, and there was one of my girlfriends, she lived next door, Vicky, and then there was another 2 girls that lived at the top of the village. So Granddad used to take us 4 in the morning, and then either Vicky's mum would pick us up or we'd go to the other 2 girls at the top of the village. Their grandma lived opposite the school.
Okay.
So we used to, and then get picked up. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Through ease of transport, basically.
Did you miss your parents during the week?
I think
or was it just the way it was?
It was just the way it was.
Yes.
And most of the time, when you came at primary school, because I went to primary school the opposite direction, just about 1.5 miles away, and back then we used to have a bit like here that some of the schools do buses.
Yeah.
So we used to have a taxi, and it was in the days where there was no seatbelt, so there was 5 of us in the back of this taxi.
Yes.
Safety goes out the window.
Yes.
And yeah, so we used to get picked up because there was myself, Amanda, Andrew. There was quite a few of us in the village that were similar age.
Okay.
So we used to get picked up and taken to primary school. I remember where I was going with that one. But yeah, we used to come home, like, and my dad, because he was out most morning, you didn't really see them during the day. And,
gee.
and it was back in the days where during the summer, came home from school, dumped, had a snack, and back out and played out on the road playing cricket. And because we're in a rural place, you go off and find adventures and so you didn't really see your parents that much.
Yeah.
So, but I can't remember, like, and because I got on quite well with my nan and granddad.
Are they still around today?
No. They're both gone.
Oh.
All my grandparents are gone now.
Okay.
My other granddad, my dad's family, he died quite a number of years ago.
Okay.
And my other nan, Great Nana Mary, we called her, she passed away only just last year.
So you had them for a while then.
Yeah. So Nan she passed away just after Eleanor was born.
Okay. Oh.
Granddad passed away back in 2000, just before I moved overseas.
Okay.
So, had them for quite a while. Granddad got Alzheimer's, dementia. He went downhill quite quickly. Nan, I ain't seen her for a couple of years. Spoken to her, but not seen her for a couple of years. So, saw her last just after Tobias was born. Okay. And then, Eleanor was born in the November. She died Boxing Day.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
A bit sad, but
gosh,
part of life. She had a good life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you moved to Portsmouth to do your nursing at 19, and how long was that you were there for?
That was a 3-year.
Okay.
3-year course, and it was one of the, again, going back to very naive at 19, didn't really know much about the health service, but just knew I wanted to be a nurse.
Yes.
And had this interview and talking to some of the people that were there, they'd been on the wait list for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I will see have this interview, and my auntie lived only an hour away.
Okay.
She lived in Aldershot, so we were staying with her. So my nan had come down with me. They'd gone off visiting Portsmouth when I was having the interview, and then picked me back up, and then we went back up, and then the next day we went off to London for the day, and got back after that to my auntie's, and my uncle at the time he said, "Oh, your mum rang. Give her a ring." So I rang her, and the hospital rang, offering me a place. And this was in something like the June or July.
Oh my God.
Offering me a place in the September.
Yes.
So
you're in.
I'm in.
I'm doing nursing.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes.
So, packed up, moved down.
Yeah.
And oh my God, that was so one of those moments in life where you think, what the hell have I done? So I turn up, and so we were in accommodation on site. Yes. So you've got the hospital, and it's a bit like this place where you've got the hills. Yep. So you have the hospital up on the hill.
Okay.
And you've got 2 big 8-story tower blocks.
Okay.
And I was on the get there and go upstairs to the flat, and each floor had 4 flats.
Okay.
And each flat had 4 bedrooms plus a communal bathroom, communal kitchen.
Yeah.
And the kitchen, it's tiny, galley kitchen, but there's only 4 of you in there. And what's in there? And each room were varied in size.
Okay.
And because there was the new person in there, I get the tiddly little room, which has basically got a single bed, a desk, and a wardrobe.
Yes.
And that's about it.
Oh, wow.
And walked in there, and the other flatmates that were there, they were actually on leave because they were in another set. They'd been around for a while.
Okay.
And the fridge freezer was, that whole sort of student like the ice is coming out the door, and it's like
No one's looking after anything.
What am I doing? What have I done?
And that was going to be the gig for 3 years. You didn't go back home. That was
the gig. Yeah, that's where I lived for for 12 months. I can't remember, 12 to 18 months. So there was lots of stuff going on. The course that we were doing was called Project 2000.
Okay.
So this was back in 93, and they were transitioning from hospital-based training to university-based training. So we were
quite different then. Yeah.
Quite different. So we weren't university students, and we weren't nursing hospital trained.
Yes.
So we were a bit in between, and so we'd have most of our lectures in the School of Nursing on site, but we would go down to the university for some of our lectures. But we still had to do our clinical placement. It worked, but there was lots of stuff going around. They were trying to kick us out of the accommodation because they could get more money from doctors for the flats.
Oh my goodness.
So they were trying to kick the nursing students out because basically it cost us £60 a month.
Yeah.
They could get 2, 3, 4 times that.
Yeah, fair enough.
So they were trying to... So the 2 of the girls were actually qualified that I was in the flat with. So they were moving out, so I moved out with them. I can't remember if it was 12 or 18 months that I stayed in. I think it was 12 months. So I moved out to accommodation with them. So that was quite good. And then, by that time I got a car, and so I was quite mobile, and and we got paid. We got paid for our training back then. It's a very small amount.
I was speaking to another someone else I interviewed. She was talking about she did her nursing here, like in Melbourne, around the age of 38, and the best thing was that she got paid while she was studying because it was a hospital-based training. It's different now.
Different now, very different. And we had no uni fees. Which no debt,
no hex
debt, no.
Yes.
So 3 years training, did that, and then
were you guaranteed a position in the hospital then, or didn't you apply out elsewhere?
No. Yeah. So we had to apply for a job. So I applied. My first job was back in the day where you'd have long stay care of the elderly in the hospital.
Okay.
So it was a bit like a nursing home, but the high acuity nursing home, or it was people that didn't have anywhere to go, or they had significant health issues. But lovely little family. There was a couple of clients. There was Vera. She was completely like chair bear, but she was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. And then there was Frank.
Oh my gosh, you still remember these?
I still remember these.
Wow.
Frank had a bit of Tourette's.
Oh, dear.
So you'd be walking down the ward, and it was an old style Nightingale ward.
Yeah. And
there was a couple of sort of single rooms, and Frank was in a single room. And you'd walk down the corridor and go, "Nurse! Nurse!" Yes, Frank.
Oh.
And then Vera, and I'll always remember the charge nurse that worked there. He was mental health trained.
Okay.
And he was put this thing in our minds because he came from a mental health background. He turned around because Vera, lovely Vera, she had dementia. And he turned around to us one day when we were sat in the tea room and goes, "Anita, how do you know that you're not sat in a chair and Vera's the nurse and you're thinking you're the nurse?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, you're playing with my mind." It's
a weird question.
Yeah, weird, yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah. So that was quite, there was... some good times.
So you mentioned, was it during your training that you met your husband?
Yes. So, I don't know how much details you want.
It's up to you.
Matt, he started his training a year before me.
Okay.
But he fell over and did his backing.
Oh.
And so he was back steady to get to take 6 months off.
Okay.
So he came back, fell over playing darts and slipped his disc. So, had to recover. Which, fortuitous, because we wouldn't have met. And so he was in a flat above me, so on the 8th level, and one of his flatmates was the union rep, and he had a reputation where he'd go and check out the new intake. Okay. So we had 2 intakes a year, so every 6 months. So there'd be, I think it was February and September. I started in the September. So he'd come and do his union speech.
Trying to recruit,
Trying to recruit, but also trying to recruit, for other reasons. So some of the girls that were on on our intake, they were in another flat. So the 2 tower blocks, so we had York and Connaught.
Okay.
And they were in the opposite flat, and they got to know Matt's flatmates.
Okay.
And there was a few, like back in student days, with alcohol, with a truth and dare. And so we all went out as a group because 2 of the girls quite liked 2 of the boys in Matt's flat. So we all went out to the cinema 2.5 weeks in. And then the following week, we all went back to a friend's flat, and I got talking to Matt about music, as you do. Oh, yeah, it's all right. Really good conversationalist, and had the same music. And so one of the girls was seeing Ian, who was one of Matt's flatmates, and she said, I'm going to go, because Matt had to go back to the flat with Ian for some reason. And so I was a bit forthcoming, and I was like, I'm going. And stayed there all night.
Put the hard word on?
Yeah. Just talking. Yes. And it was just it was really easygoing. Yeah. And because his family are from the north as well, so common.
All right.
Yeah.
So you were 19?
I was 19. And he was 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, went from there.
So during your nursing training, you were going out that whole time?
Yeah, that whole time.
So he finished before you, because he started earlier?
He finished 6 months before me, and he actually couldn't get, because again, he joined the union movement and was a bit pushy, but very much pushing for rights for the students. And there wasn't a lot of jobs at the time for what he wanted to do, because he liked medicine, like respiratory medicine, so there wasn't that many jobs going. So he moved up to London. He went to Hackney, went to the Homerton. So we were long distance. There was a moment sort of halfway through our training and there was a few instances, and he'd always been up front with me, so there'd been the truth or dare game. And one of the girls in my flat, Amanda, she tried to use stuff, tried to break us up, and came down and started saying all this stuff about Matt that she'd learnt through this truth or dare game, and it was stuff that could maybe break up a relationship. And it was so funny seeing her face. It's like, I know that. It doesn't bother me. Yes. Do you know what I mean? Because he'd already told me, he'd already been quite open. So, halfway through course, there was a bit of we were spending too much time together.
Okay.
So he got a bit, so we took a step back, and we're still there. Yes. 30 odd years later.
Yes. So then you'd finished your nursing, and then where did you head after that?
So I got a job doing the long stay care of the elderly, and then during our training we've been very lucky to do 5 weeks of maternity placement.
Okay.
And really, really enjoyed it.
Yes.
So pretty much as soon as I qualified, I applied to do mid.
In the UK?
In the UK.
Yes.
So again, funny story. So applied, and again, it was a bit like the clearinghouse again. You had to so applied for a few in London.
Yeah.
Because Matt was in London.
Okay.
So, and I'd gone to an interview towards the end of the year. So I'd qualified in the sort of July, August time.
Okay. From your nursing?
From nursing.
Yeah.
Started working on that ward, and then I think sort of November time, somewhere around there, I went for an interview, and again, it was one of the whole day affairs. You had to write an essay, and it's like, oh my God. So, and I met...
Gee, that's quite full on, isn't it?
So full on. And met this lovely nurse called Robin, and there was 3 of us. And we got to talking because we, done the sort of morning stuff, the group work, the essay, and then we were waiting for an interview.
Okay.
And all 3 of us were getting married the following year. And while we're waiting, we was like, oh, yeah, afterwards we'll go down the pub. And so, yeah.
It's a very English thing to do.
Yeah. After the interview, we went and, got talking. And, so Robin was coming back because her parents were English, but she was born here in Australia. Okay. And so she was coming back for her wedding in the January. And I had her address, but she didn't know much about me. So I sent her a card, and I couldn't even remember her husband's name. So I was like, Robin and husband. And then I got a recall for another, because I didn't get into the university for mid where I'd met Robin, so I sort of left it. And then there was a recall. 2 people are pulled out of Thames Valley.
Yes.
So got a last minute interview with another girl. Went up there. It was a very informal chat with the dean of the school, and basically got offered a position there and then. This was in the January, and basically had 4 weeks notice to start in the February.
Oh my goodness.
And I knew because I put my address, and Robin had written to me saying that she'd got into Thames Valley.
Okay.
But she didn't know that I had.
Oh, right.
So she turned up on the first day, not knowing anybody, and I knew that she was going to be there. So I'm sat in the room, my usual self, turning up early. And she's like, we walked into the room, and I'm sat there with this big grin on her face. And she's like, oh my God.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and we ended up living with each other for 12 months during our training. Yeah.
So how long was that then for your
That was 18 months. So I started in the February 97, qualified 98, August 98. So then moved back down to Portsmouth, got a job in Portsmouth, and Matt came with us. So in that 18 months, Matt was working at Hackney, then he got a job at the Hammersmith Hospital, which was the same trust, NHS trust, as I was doing my mid. So we were able to live in the accommodation. Then we moved out with Robin and her husband and another Australian, Camille. She was hilarious. She thought she wanted to live Friends. She loved Friends and wanted to have that.
It's just the same.
No. And she was one of those. She had a lot of highfalutin friends who had a lot of money, like the early IT businessy
right.
people
Yeah.
and wanted to keep that lifestyle, but on a midwife salary. Doesn't work. But yeah, so we had some fun times. We lived in this beautiful apartment. It was one of those big, massive English houses that are being converted in lots of flats.
Yes.
And we were up on the top floor, and we had this, what we called the stage. So in the lounge, there was like this big lounge, and then it was like a bay window, but it had like a step up onto it. So we called it the stage, and had so much fun.
So then did you start working as a midwife in the UK first?
Yeah. So worked in Portsmouth.
Mm-hmm.
So moved down there 1998. Didn't get a job for a little while, so I did a bit of casual bank nursing.
Yeah.
And then got a job at Midwifery unit and stayed there until 2001.
And so what brought you to Australia?
So Matt, when I first met him, had always wanted to work and travel. So got to a point where I felt quite confident with my skills. He'd been doing emergency for a while, and I found a job in New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
So decided to apply. And again, that conversation about sitting on the couch in my jammies and interview. For New Zealand, and got offered the job. And then Matt wrote to the hospital and said, my wife's coming, here's a job, and got a job in the emergency department.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
how long were you in New Zealand for?
I was there for 8-9 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so not very long. It was big culture shock.
Yeah.
Coming from Yorkshire, small Yorkshire place.
Yes.
We got there. Again, another funny story. So it was around 9/11.
Oh, okay.
So we were getting ready to pack up to go in September 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And we flew, at the end of September.
Oh.
And all our worldly goods in 2 suitcases.
Oh.
And off, going through America. So we went Air New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
So from England to America, and then America to New Zealand, and first huge long haul flight. Got there, had like about an hour's sleep on the aeroplane because you were so excited and
new adventure.
Yeah.
So when you left the UK, that was it then?
That was it. We sold our house.
You were done. Oh, like packed up.
Packed up.
See you later.
Yes. We're in quarantine.
Wow.
Because we had 2 cats, and it was like, we're not going if we can't take the cats with us.
Yes. That big commitment to just up and go.
Yeah. So off we
So how old were you then? What,
27.
Oh, 27. Yeah, okay.
27.
Okay.
26, 27.
Yeah.
So got to New Zealand, arrived after like 29-hour journey, got there.
It's a long haul.
We were supposed to be being picked up. The lady had forgotten us.
Oh.
So luckily, I'm very organised, had a number written down. And you're talking back in, early 2000s where mobile phones and all that sort of stuff wasn't...
Quite different now.
Very different. So... And because it had crossed over the date line, she hadn't flicked her diary over because it was the 1st of October when we arrived. So we get there and we're driving down the roads.
Had you been to New Zealand before?
Nope.
No.
Never been. First time, and looking at the scenery, when you go to a new country and it's what's happening here?
Yes.
Yeah. And we get dropped off at this motel. Because it was all sort of sponsored and stuff, so we had a little bit of time. And then to, sort of get comfortable and get over jet lag, we had about 10 days before we were starting the job. And so we took a few days. Okay. We came over here to see Robin and Cameron, had a bit of a holiday, and then went back.
Shorter flight.
Yeah, so I got that and then turned up to work, and you do the orientation and stuff, and we were in Wellington and get there and they start talking about earthquakes. Oh, we're due a big earthquake. And
Welcome.
basically, welcome. We're on a peninsula. If we have the massive earthquake that we're expecting, then we're going to be cut off with water, electricity for a minimum of 6 months. And I'm like, it's done. And this is the thing. It's like, again, big, massive tower block, which was like, gynae, maternity, all that sort of stuff. They'd built this beautiful, brand new emergency department, which had all the earthquake safety stuff. Okay. It's like, well, that's not going to stand in good stead. You've got 2 big tower blocks behind you that are going to squish it.
Oh, my goodness.
It's like, oh, my God, what have we done? But, yeah, it was good fun. Again, naive.
Yes. Awesome experiences, though.
Yeah, good social life. But, yeah, expensive. And the job wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But don't regret it. One of the best wine tours on that just tip of South Island. Okay. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Did you have any earthquakes while you were there?
We did. Oh, but didn't realise it. So when we were in the motel, first couple of days, we sort of sat on the little balcony and I'm like, a bit of a rumble. Shivers. What's that? Is that like a lorry just going past? And yeah, it was only a small one, but yeah, it didn't have any big massive.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You got out of there before.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good. It was good fun.
So then you went from New Zealand to...
So a few things, like, cost of living, job wasn't what I thought it was. And my Robin, she was going on maternity leave, so applied for a 3-month maternity leave position. Yes. And again, Matt wrote to Dandenong Hospital saying, here's a job. And they did. And, moved over. And because we knew people...
Had you been to Melbourne before?
Yeah, so we'd been previously, when we came to New Zealand, we'd been for sort of 10 days. And her family were really welcoming and supportive. And so we stayed with Robin for a bit. And I got a job at Monash.
Oh, wow.
And...
So what year was that?
That was 2002.
Okay.
So arrived 29th of June, 2002. Yes. Robin went into labour on the 4th of July. Helen was born on the 5th. So that was quite good because it was in my orientation, so I was allowed to hang with her. Yeah.
And so it was a lot better than what you thought it was going to be compared to New Zealand?
Yeah, it was just different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was cheaper.
Yeah.
Back then.
Okay.
Not now, but...
Yes.
Yeah, a lot cheaper. New Zealand housing, we always sort of said, it was like Twilight Zone in some of the places in New Zealand because the population wasn't huge there. Yeah. So we went to Napier, one of the towns, and we're staying in a little motel, and we went out for dinner, and it was dead.
Oh, no.
The town was dead. There was nobody. There was nobody there. It was like Twilight Zone. And, yeah, it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Well, I don't know what I thought it was. And, yeah, the population was a lot smaller.
Yeah, quite different.
Yes. Yeah, so I came here and it was like, because their shopping centre was... It's like everybody was raving about this shopping centre. And we went there and there was about 6 shops. So coming here and seeing Southland, it was like, oh my God.
Very, very different.
Yeah.
Very, very different. We're going to move on to, I just loved it. I guess you were saying you've always wanted to travel, and you did. Yeah. Like you, really from age 11, you stayed with your grandparents, then to Portsmouth, then all the way across the world to New Zealand, and then come to Melbourne. And have you ever wanted to leave Melbourne after coming here?
There was one point, I think, when we had kids.
Okay. As in to go back to the UK?
To go back to the UK, but then sort of went back, and it's like, really?
Yeah.
My life is here.
Yes.
And there's more opportunities.
Okay.
I think for the kids.
Yeah.
Because we would have probably have gone back to my family in Yorkshire and look at the sort of, what's available. And you make the most of what you've got. But I think, opportunities for me, like working part-time. If I've been in the UK, I've been working full-time.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, you had the support of the family, but sometimes is that, you're sort of weighing up
pros and cons,
and our life is here, really.
Absolutely. I think
for the kids
who you don't know, I guess, at the time where you're going to settle. And your life as an adult now, and I guess you've been, how long have you been in Australia now? For 22. And so you and Matt got married, and do you have children?
Yeah, got 18 and nearly 16.
And they were both born here?
Both born here, yeah. So Matt and I got married 97.
Okay.
Back in the UK. Did the whole travel to New Zealand and settled here. And then we went back for my sister's wedding back in 2005. And we talked about, because Matt and Liz still attest to this, there's this, when I first met Matt, he had this thing that children were disease-ridden creatures should be kept separate from the rest of society. Yes. And it's like, right, it took a while for him to come round to sort of wanting kids. And, so when my sister was getting, we went back and we decided that, we think about having kids. And, once we had kids, because Matt had always, his dad was a policeman, and so they moved. He had probably as many schools as he...
Oh, wow.
In his first, like primary schools, he'd move every year. Move. So when we decided to have kids, we sort of said, Matt says, I don't want to be moving around. We've got to stay put. Yeah. Because I don't want that on my kids. Yeah. So it was like, we did go through, before the kids went to school, primary school, we sort of said, look, we've got to make that decision if we want to move. We've got to go now.
Now or never,
And now or then it'll be down the line.
Here to stay.
So here to stay. So there's been points where you think, oh, is the grass greener? But go back.
Never is.
No.
Never is. So we've talked about how you met. What do you admire most about him, about Matt?
I think his loyalty, ability to make you laugh, even in the... and sometimes his filter. Doesn't have a filter. He's got better over time. And his self-reflection is always, willing to put his hand up and accept responsibility.
Yes.
Once you've got a friend in Matt, you've got it for life.
Yes. That's excellent. That's excellent. I have got, I guess, what are some of the things that you guys enjoy to do together that maybe other people wouldn't do? Like, is there anything you guys do together?
We do like walking.
Excellent.
Yeah, going for walks. And that sort of love of nature, like waterfalls and outdoors. Not that we do a lot outdoors, but and I think sort of music as well. Not that we're musically minded, but similar sort of. We've got very eclectic tastes.
Okay, that was my next question. Is your passions and interests? But I'm going to just skip back for a sec. What did you want to be when you grew up? Did you always want to be a nurse? Yeah.
There was a point, a nurse or an architect. Don't know why.
They're so different.
There was that sort of design. I remember when I was a teenager, like we grew up, like my sister and I grew up in what we would call, I don't know what it was here, but council house. So it was sort of subsidised-ish accommodation, and there's not a lot of it around anymore, but there was the potential of redoing the kitchen. So I want to do like design and be able to sort of create it, go down to B&Q, which is like your Bunnings in the UK. And so I wanted to sort of design and so there was that part of it, whether it was just that creative side of me.
Okay.
But always, I think because my nan was nursing.
Okay.
And I also had my aunt, who was my godmother.
Oh.
She was an old, like, enrolled nurse, SEN.
State enrolled nurse, yes.
And I had a lot to do with her growing up because being at Nan's and, so I think sort of being...
Their influences.
That influence.
Absolutely.
Did
they talk about their jobs with you, like their day? Did you know what their job entailed?
So I knew because my auntie, she worked nights for a long time at one of the little community hospitals, and my nan, she worked in a sanatorium.
Oh my God!
In her younger days,
really exist now as such? No,
don't exist, and now it's been converted into flats, and it did for a while. Wow. It was a nursing home.
Okay.
And I did a couple of placements there.
Okay.
And it was a bit like one of the stories a few times. The maternity hospital where I used to work in Portsmouth was the old workhouse.
Oh.
And you used to get some of the older ladies and gentlemen not wanting to go to St Mary's because it was the old workhouse.
Oh.
Yeah. So all that history was just fascinating.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know right from a young age also.
Yeah, that one over the architecture.
Yeah.
So thinking about your passions and interests, I guess, what sounds like your passion is caring for people. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what you're doing in your everyday job. And your favourite music or bands, and what's your first concert experience that you went to?
Oh.
Here or the UK?
UK?
Yes.
I used to do like little pub, like there used to be bands and stuff. I used to work in a pub that had a nightclub section. Okay. So there was lots of local artists and stuff that used to come, and some other dodgy things that used to come. My first, so there was a couple. I went to see Michael Jackson.
Oh my goodness!
At Roundhair Park in Leeds.
What year was that? That's 2 people. I interviewed Myrna, and she saw Michael Jackson in the Philippines.
Oh.
Yes. So I reckon it was around the same time.
I can't remember which tour it was. It was the Bad Tour. And it was at Roundhair Park in Leeds, which is a big, massive venue. Me and my girlfriend went, and it was like £20. Or 25
compared to now.
And it was just like, so
how
I remember
exciting.
that was, and then Status Quo.
Oh, yes.
Went with one of my girlfriends and her mum and dad because they were big fans. We're all standing up singing. Cool. Yeah, so that was good fun. And then I didn't really do many, because again, not being able to afford them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it wasn't until I came here. So I've seen Meatloaf before he went bad. And he played, that was one where he played with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah.
Robbie. Seen Robbie at what is now Marvel.
Were you a Take That fan?
No.
When he was in Take That? No.
So I think Robbie Duran.
Yes, Duran.
Actually supported him. And then recently I've done...
Did they really? Duran supported Robert Williams?
Yeah, I think so. Because I remember looking at them thinking, oh my God, they look old. And then I'm thinking, I'm getting old now.
Still love Duran.
Then recently we've done Elton John.
Yes.
Billy Joel.
Excellent.
Billy Joel, best concert.
Yeah.
Best concert.
He's an entertainer.
Yeah. And then Don McLean.
Okay.
American Pie. That was at the Palais. So, yeah, I was sort of...
So, and you and Matt have the similar music interest?
And we do like musicals.
Yep.
And we did a few in New Zealand. We did Les Mis.
Okay.
I want to see Les Mis back here. I haven't seen it for a while. Done Phantom, done Oliver. The only one that I didn't really get on with was Cats. Didn't really do it for me. But yeah, we like, and even now the kids, they love going to those.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've done a few, but not.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that there's more of now. Like, we've got so many more options. There's so many shows, especially in Melbourne.
Yeah.
All the time.
And we used to do stuff in London where you could go and get cheap tickets on the day.
Yes.
So when we lived in London, we did that a couple of times. So I went to see Greece.
Okay.
That was fun. Went to see Mousetrap. Last time we were there.
Yes.
That was really good. So if you get a chance to go and see Mousetrap, yeah, really, really good. Really well done. We did Beauty and the Beast on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
Back then I was a bit of a Disney fan. And then one of the best things that we did the last time we were in London was we did a War of the Worlds experience.
Oh, yeah. I think I know someone who... Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah. Really, really good. Really good. Very interactive. Awesome. They had actors there that would come up and be part of the story. And
sounds familiar. I reckon I know someone. I'm going to move on to, I guess, family and friendships. And I guess the reason we met is because of your strong friendship with... how do we say, Tim's wife, Felicity. So your friendships are really, really important to you. And I think you're really good at making those strong connections. So tell me how you met your current friendship group.
So I haven't got a huge amount of friends because, again, it's probably one of those that I'd rather have really good, small network of friends.
Yes.
So Felicity met through work. Yeah. So the job that I took when I first moved here was at the birth centre, which was at Moorabbin.
Okay.
And then the powers that be decided to close it down, so shipped up to Monash.
Okay.
And we connected on night shift. And through, as you do. She was getting married to Tim.
Yes.
And she's also, as well, they were moving to Cheltenham, which is where I was living, or where we were living at the time. So, just connected through that and then had babies. And we've just been
connected ever since.
Yes. Yeah.
So good. So nice. Can you share a significant turning point or moment of realisation in your life?
Oh, my God.
Something that's been really significant to you.
I suppose that decision to move overseas.
Yes.
Big decision. And I was reflecting on it. I caught up with a girlfriend that I used to work with in Portsmouth.
Oh, wow. Who lives here?
No, not here.
Gotcha.
She lives... So
when
we
you
went
over
back.
there.
We went back over last Christmas and caught up with her again. She hasn't changed. Gorgeous girl. And she was, one of my sort of close network group. Yeah. And we used her. She's a character. And she actually said, she said, I was devastated when you said that you were moving. And I'm like I didn't even know. And it's just like,
you just go
moment, you just
start your new life.
It's like starting your life. And the thing was, it was because we had a moment because she was helping us tidy up and move and stuff, and we were in the car when the Twin Towers went down.
Oh, wow.
So we had those moments, and then I stayed at hers the night before we actually left. Yeah. Because we packed up the house and we'd gone out, had a few drinks and
is it the last time?
The last hurrah and all that sort of stuff. And I wasn't yeah, so it was like looking back, and it's like these friendships that you don't really realise that you connect until it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, those sort of moments, I think, it was like, really, I didn't,
So it was nice to see,
it was nice to see her and connect again and catch up. Because, there are a few people that sort of you meet through your life.
Yes.
You think,
And when you caught up with her, was it like no time?
Yeah, no
had
time.
passed,
And we used to, and I've got another girlfriend. I haven't spoken to her for a long time, but when I used to go back when I was nursing, we'd catch up. So it was Amanda who was my bridesmaid, and we'd catch up. Like, hadn't seen each other for 6 months, and we're just like picking up.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. So
has your friend, what was her name?
Zoe.
So has she been to Melbourne?
No.
It's a long way.
It's a long way. One of our other colleagues, Lisa, Zoe's still friends with.
Okay.
She came out early on in the piece and came to visit. So that was quite nice.
Oh, yes.
But again, it's a long way for people. And we always say that, look, if you're ever in the neighbourhood, there's a bed there and so.
And that's it. Like, no regrets, that it was a big thing, but everything's turned out beautifully. Yeah. The next segment I've got is called Curious Corner, where I ask some curious questions about you. Can you recall a time where you just couldn't stop laughing about something?
Oh, God.
Where you just couldn't stop.
So this is a little bit...
It's all right, I'll put an E on it.
Yeah, it is. So Matt's a little bit of history. So Matt's parents are Catholic.
Okay.
And gorgeous. They do anything for you.
Yes.
Love them to bits. So Matt and I had been going out, not for very long.
Okay.
And
I'm wondering what it is. What is it?
And his sister was getting married. So a whole family were coming.
Okay.
And we'd got little holiday cottages around. And
oh, wow.
And I'm sort of fairly, not naive, but sort of not worldly.
Okay.
And Matt's mum was quite a highfalutin. She ran a drug dependency clinic.
Oh, wow.
And...
oh, so she was a nurse as well?
She was a nurse.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she, was up there running in charge, and she was quite worldly.
Okay.
Like, you'd think she'd be quite worldly, dealing with drugs, alcohol, HIV,
Gosh.
all that sort of stuff. So we were having, and we'd had because back in the day, Matt's parents liked some nice wine, so we'd had a few glasses of wine. And
is that how all funny stories start?
Yeah. And we're sat around the dinner table, and we were talking about different sexual positions. And this was a conversation that she was having with one of her staff.
Oh, okay.
And we're all sort of laughing and giggling. And this story starts to build up, and she then turns around to Matt seriously.
Oh, no.
And goes, Matt, do you actually know what a 69 position is? Well, that was it. I was on the floor. It was hilarious. And I'm like, this is coming out, like, from Matt's mum.
I just want to dive under the table.
I just want to dive.
So how old were you at the time?
So that was...
So you were already married then?
No, we weren't. I'd only just started going out with Matt. So I'd started going out with him in the September, and Matt's sister got married in the following March. And then not long after that, so Matt's the youngest of the three. So he's got an older brother and a sister, and then Matt. And they lived in this house that overlooked the beach down in Pevensey Bay, and it had 3 floors.
Okay.
And when we went to stay, so it was a bit of an upside down house,
All right.
a little bit. So you had like a kitchen, a formal dining loungy area, and then there was what used to be Matt's nan's room, which she came to live with them for a period of time and there was a shower in there. So when I came to stay, I stayed in that room.
Okay.
Then middle floor, you had a family bathroom, another lounge, and Matt's parents' bedroom.
Okay.
And then up in the loft was Jilly's old bedroom, which was like in the eaves type thing.
Okay.
And then Matt's bedroom.
Okay.
So you've got Matt's parents in the middle, with me on the ground floor, Matt's parents in the middle. So we couldn't do anything. And then, not long after that, they downsized.
All right.
Because all the kids had gone by this stage.
Yes.
And Matt got a phone call. We were going down there for the weekend, and Matt got this phone call, and I can hear on the other end of Matt's mum goes, "Now, Matt, I've got a serious question to ask you." I'm like, goes, "You and Anita are coming down this weekend. Do you mind sharing a bed?" And I'm like, "We've been sharing a single futon for the last probably 12, 18 months. And it was just like,
Oh my gosh.
And Matt, he's like, keeps a straight face.
Yes.
I think we can manage.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work.
It's going to be a struggle.
We have these conversations with Matt's sister and her husband. Just they're in stitches.
Oh my goodness.
It's like they'd send. So when Paul and Jilly were going out, Jilly had a little Jack Russell called Wilberforce. When Paul used to come around to see Jilly and they were upstairs in the bedroom, you'd hear the door open and Wilbur would go in because he'd be protective of Jilly. So parents would... So if Paul went near Jilly...
Anything happened. It's a dead giveaway.
Yeah,
oh, that's priceless. Oh, that's gold.
Hilarious. So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. The next one is, if you could have any superpower for a day, what would it be? I'm impartial to the invisibility cloak from Harry Potter.
I don't know. Because sometimes I don't know if I'd want to know.
Do any things you don't want to.
I'm a bit of a ignorance is bliss.
That's right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all good.
I don't.
Well, the next one is name 5 people you would invite over for dinner that you would never get to meet. Who would you invite? Robbie Williams.
Who would I invite? Hugh Jackman.
Oh, yes. I'll come.
Jodie?
Yes, I'll come over.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman.
I find him intriguing. What's his name? He's an English actor, older gentleman. He was in one of the Marvel movies. Oh, God. I'm hopeless with names. I think,
in the Marvel movies, an older English guy.
He's done a lot of theatre.
Okay.
So, can't think of his name. Maggie Smith. I love Maggie Smith.
Yes.
She would be fun. Was it Magneto? He played Magneto. In the X-Men.
Yeah. I can't think off the top of my head. No, I can't think.
Nah.
That's all good.
Really book me.
What's your signature dish to cook?
Ooh.
Favourite thing to cook?
Probably a lasagna.
Yes.
It's
perfect.
Yes. Or a good shepherd's pie.
Shepherd's pie. Do you do it with lamb or beef?
Beef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the English thing to do lamb?
We always did beef because it was cheaper.
Yeah. Okay. I've never done it with lamb, but always. Yeah. If you could choose one song to play every time you walked into a room, what would you choose?
I quite like The Gambler at the moment.
Oh, yes.
And that sort of songs that you can turn up really loud.
Yes.
Sort of that country, even like Billy Joel or those sort of things.
What's your favourite Billy Joel song?
Again, I'm hopeless.
So many.
I do like Uptown Girl. That comes from my youth. Vienna. And there was another one that's really meaningful.
Innocent Man? No.
You know where they reel off the history.
Oh, We Didn't Start the Fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one's got
That's very iconic.
Yeah.
Very, very iconic.
We've got so many.
Oh, there is. It spans. Yeah, his career goes across.
Yeah.
Many, many decades. Thinking about your favourite fictional character, if you could swap lives with any fictional character, who would it be? Someone said to me the other day, Hermione.
Yeah.
Because of the sass.
I do like Hercule.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Because you're watching Shetland, so you're like...
Yeah. Even like Vera. I quite like Vera.
Yes.
She's... there was... I know this sounds really sad, but there was... I think probably because of history and stuff, there was... Do you know Barbara Taylor Bradford? It was a bit of a... So she wrote a series called Woman of Substance.
Okay, yes.
And I watched that with my nan and I read the stories. Just the first sort of Woman of Substance and the next one I think it was.
Okay.
Before it got to... but that whole sort of, going from even looking at Schindler's List and stuff like that. That sort of looking at poignant people, even though the Barbara Taylor Bradford was fictional, but
historical
stuff.
Yeah. Well, my next one is about injuries, because I injure myself all the time. I'm so accident prone. And I'm always curious about other people's injuries. Tell us about a time where you've accidentally injured yourself. Like, what's your worst injury?
I've not really had any.
God, what's that like? I don't know.
Ice skating.
Oh!
Once. I thought, and I got up there. And
in Australia?
In Australia. At, there was one...
Docklands. Yeah.
And we'd gone to... My friend Robin, her niece and nephew were over, and her kids, they had like a bit of a birthday party. Okay. And so I went off and went into the... I'm doing all right. Got going.
Had you been before?
Not for a long time. Okay. And then just went...
oh my gosh.
Cracked my head. Aww. And... started to get all tingly in my hands.
Heavens.
And I'm like, yeah. And it took me a while to come around. And of course, Matt, is that you all right? There's no blood. Fine.
Was it concussion? Some sort of concussion?
I wonder if I got a bit of concussion or if it was just because of the coldness of the ice or, it freaked me out.
Hard knock. Yeah. Shivers.
Yeah. So, I haven't had many. I've been... Touch wood.
Gosh, you're lucky.
I've been very
lucky.
I did have one where I was so angry with the kids because people into a tip and just having that. And then I picked up one of their dressing gown belts and it got stuck in my toes and I yanked it. And I think I broke my toe. I had the purple all the way.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was like, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Don't mess with Anita.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
But, yeah, I haven't had any major.
Oh, that's good to hear. I have another one, and this is the hall pass. So if you could spend a night with someone that is not Matt, who would you choose? Oh, I know. It's the same one you have for dinner. No. Who would it be?
Who was like Jude Law.
Jude Law. Oh, The Holiday. It's in The Holiday, anything. All right.
Dumbledore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Oh, well.
I did see him.
Give him a shout out. Shout out to Jude Law.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do.
He'd be another one that I'd like to see at dinner.
Okay.
Actually. Yeah. He'd be
busy.
interesting. There's something about him that just, yeah.
That's excellent. Oh my goodness. What are you most proudest of in your life?
Probably the kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know how they turned out like that.
Oh,
pretty good eggs.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Is there anything you regret in your life?
Not many things. The only thing, because my dad never gave me away
Okay.
at my wedding, but my parents had split up not long before.
Okay.
And there was still quite a lot of animosity.
Oh.
And because my grandparents, if he comes, we're not.
Oh.
And I actually did pluck up the courage and actually say to my dad, I said, look, what are you going to do? And he was a bit ambivalent. I think he wanted to not make me choose.
Yes.
But he came to the wedding and came to the reception.
Oh, that's good.
But that must have been really hard. And again, it was one of those things. It's just one of those little regrets
that you would have liked to have had.
I would like to have had him down the aisle with me, but my uncle did it. He stepped in. That was nice because I had a good relationship with him.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, but that's one of the only major regrets.
Yes. That's awesome. We I think we've covered quite a bit. There's one little piece I think that you did change your career slightly, not really recently. So you were a midwife for a certain amount of time and then you went on to study something else.
Yeah, maternal and child health.
Maternal and child health.
Yes. And again, I think I've always been that primary healthcare, relationship building.
Yes.
And here that if the birth centre had continued where you had that continuity,
okay,
I think probably would have stayed. But yeah, and I think birth is 24, 48 hours.
Yes.
Felt as though I had more to give. I think once I've had kids,
okay,
had more to offer.
Yes.
And that education and that support. And I'm not the highfalutin acute stuff. I think I'm more community based.
The relationships. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you very much for chatting to me today, Anita. And well, I hope you get some of your family in the UK to listen to this podcast. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Anita for sharing her stories with us today. She has had so many amazing experiences, including studying nursing and midwifery in the UK. She then continued her career in Australia, working here as a midwife. I hope her friends and family, both here and in the UK, enjoy listening to Anita talk about her life and her memories. And hey, Anita, let's hope Jude Law has been listening to your request. Tune in to our next episode where we get to hear more lives worth telling. Don't forget to check out and follow us on your socials. And if you love what you hear, please rate and review us on your favourite podcast app. Of course, if you have any questions, you can get in touch with us through the Facebook page or Instagram. If you or a friend or a family member would like to come on the show, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. And if you want to grab yourself some merch, jump onto Redbubble to check out our products. Thanks for listening to Lives Worth Telling. See you next time.